Hello, I'm Katherine Thompson, and this is my short presentation on root cause analysis, or RCA. So root cause analysis is a problem-solving and analysis tool that can be used to help find the root cause of a problem or issue. It can be used in project management, but it's not exclusive to project management. There are certainly other disciplines that use it as well. It's kind of more of an overarching way of thinking about an issue rather than a methodology that's specific to project management. So it's called root cause analysis because you're trying to address a problem. And so if you're a gardener, weeds in your garden are a problem. And if you don't address them at the roots, if you want to keep that weed from coming back, you have to pull it out at the root. And if you want your problem that you're having to stop occurring in your project, you have to also take it out at the root. You must determine that root cause and address it. If you only address the problem, it's like pulling out the top of the weeds without getting to the roots. They're just going to come back. So that's why that root cause analysis is so important. So it's used frequently in project management. It can be used to assess or anticipate potential risks during the planning phase. It can also really help to address unexpected problems that may arise during the implementation phase of a project. And that's what I'll talk about for the majority of the rest of this presentation, is talking about using it in the context of a problem that's come up sort of unexpectedly in a process in the project management project process. So this is important because problems do arise, even in really well-planned problems, even with a lot of risk that's well managed. Sometimes problems do arise. And so what root cause analysis really provides is just a systematic and focused way to analyze these issues, to really drill down to what the true cause of the issues are. And the other reason that it's so important is that built into root cause analysis, you don't just analyze and find the root cause, you address it, and built into addressing that is also preventing it from recurring. So that's an important part that can help keep your project timeline on track, because you are addressing an issue that came up and you're preventing it from occurring again. So that's going to help you stay on track. So the impact of root cause analysis in the project management process is it can get those projects back on track that have gone off the rails in one way or another, while the project is still going on. So this can really keep a project from not, even if there is a pretty serious issue, if you're able to do this root cause analysis, you can kind of do some in-flight correction, whereas you don't have to stop the entire process, the entire project, just because there's an issue. You have something to kind of work on it as it's in motion. Okay, so let's talk about a couple of the best practices for root cause analysis, kind of how you actually do it. These steps can vary a little bit, but this was pretty much what I found across a couple of different sources. So the first thing you'll want to do is you'll want to figure out who's going to actually work on the root cause analysis. You're going to assign resources. Ideally, this is going to be a cross-functional team, because especially if it is a larger problem or a pretty global issue, the more perspectives you can have from more people on different teams, the more complete of a picture of the contributing factors you're going to have. So really trying to get as many people, not necessarily as many people as possible just to have, but as many different perspectives as you can, is more useful. Then you're going to identify that problem. You're going to really drill down, what is the issue? What are we focusing on? You're going to analyze that problem to isolate the root cause, and there's several different tools to do that, but the two that I'll talk about in this video are a Fishbone or Ishikawa diagram, and then a Pareto chart. Once you have isolated that root cause, then you identify the root cause, and then you implement a corrective action. So whatever you need to do to address that root cause to prevent it from happening again, that's what you do in this step. And then you verify your results, just to make sure that it works, that you're able to, that truly was the root cause of the issue. It's been addressed. It's not going to happen again. So that's the basic steps of the process. So the Fishbone Ishikawa diagram is it looks like a fish with the issue at the head. That's why it's called a fishbone. The ribs are categories of contributing factors. So these can mean different things. In manufacturing, it might have to do with labor and machinery and supply chain, or just different areas where problems could arise. And then on those on those ribs, you have individual contributing factors in those categories. So that helps you to lay everything out and get to the root cause of an issue. To get to the root cause of an issue, you're going to ask the 5 whys. So the question why must be asked at least 5 times. You may have to ask it more, but you really have to ask 5 times to drill down to what the heart of the issue might be. So if the question is why was the shipment late? Because the driver was late dropping off at the warehouse. Why was the driver late? Because the trailer was not ready when the driver came to pick it up. Why was the trailer not ready? Because the warehouse was behind schedule. Why was the warehouse behind schedule? Because the warehouse is understaffed. Why is the warehouse understaffed? Because workers are leaving for better paying jobs elsewhere. So with that, when you ask those 5 whys, it really drills down to a pretty core issue that needs to be addressed before the problem of the late shipments will truly be addressed. So that just helps you to drill down with that. So an example I'll use here is one from my employment that certainly has been pretty vexing for me, and this is that we'll have clients who fill out their information online for a financial assessment, and we will complete the financial assessment, email it to them. It's a personalized email. It has the things to do with I work at a credit counseling agency, so it has a lot of times they can authorize their credit report, and so it has just lots and lots of specific information. This action plan for them, and a little under half of them never respond to any of it, to any attempts to email or call or text. And so the question becomes why? What is that? So this isn't a project management example exactly, but I think it is a good example of how to do a root cause analysis. So I sort of identify 2 issues or 2 areas. There probably are some technical issues. Probably a really big one is that a lot of these emails go in spam filters and people never see them. I think that's a big issue. There's sometimes some blacklists too with different domains. And then there's a lot of human issues, and this is only supposed to be a 10-minute video, so I can't go too deeply into it. But there's lots of different reasons why the person, sort of human reasons why the person might not respond to it. And so this might be something that if you're able to drill down to it, you might be able to figure out, is there one that has a lot more weight than the others? Is there one that might truly be the root cause of why folks are not responding? Another example would be this Pareto chart. So with the Pareto chart, what it does is it arranges issues in order of frequency from left to right, left being higher frequency. And then what you do is it gives you something to focus on in terms of the most frequent issues that are probably causing the majority of the problems. So for this example, it's for credit card processing errors. And you can see that the biggest one, it's about 37% of the reason why the credit card processing might be an error is that the name was misspelled. And then the next one is looks like a little under 20% is that the address is incorrect. And then a wrong phone number. So, but if you address the issues in the order in which they contribute to the overall failure rate, which is that top line, you can prioritize where you put your resources, and a lot of times this can also help you kind of visualize where a root cause might truly be, or the biggest source of the issue might be. So that's another way to look at that. So who gets involved in this process? As I mentioned before, just as many different perspectives as you can get from as many different people and as many different places in the process as possible would be the most helpful, because if you only have folks looking at it from one perspective, you might miss whole categories on that fishbone diagram. There might be whole ribs that are just missing because you're just not aware that that's an issue. So that's certainly something to consider as much as possible, is getting that cross-functional team. That could include the project manager, really depending on the kind of work. If they were designers, that could be an issue. I'm thinking more in instructional design maybe. If there are developers, in the Scott Allen case, certainly having some developers in on a root cause analysis would be helpful. Managers, if there might be labor issues, workflow productivity issues, that could be helpful as well. So really anyone that has us insight into what might be causing the problem. And then my own just personal interest. So I just kept seeing root cause analysis in some job postings for some jobs I was looking at. It just seemed like an interesting thing, something that I should take a look at. And I think my other takeaway for this is that when it comes to these root cause analysis, the quality of input determines the quality of output. So if you allocate good resources towards your root cause analysis, you're probably going to get a better quality result. Thanks so much for listening.